works. Once one person knows, the word kind of spreads. Sometimes we'll go ahead and put flyers around, maybe at the deaf club or at churches, and that way people can learn about it that way. We'll also put advertisements in the newspaper. So there's a variety of ways that we get the word out there. Another way that we reach out is through CODAs, so children of a deaf adult. So we'll kind of let them know, and they have the option of moving in or spreading the word as well. And this actually spreads throughout the country. So some other states like Florida also have heard about this program too. But of course the deaf community is small, but the word spreads. So I'm going to explain a little bit about how the program works and how you can qualify. So it's really based on income. You guys are familiar with the tax credit? It's called Affordable Tax Credit Housing. A lot of people say low income, but I feel like the nicer word to use would be the tax credit or affordable tax credit housing. They've actually already mentioned in formal documentation that they're going to change that label. So it's kind of an old word right now, so it's a bad habit, and people are working on changing that. But really, we're supposed to be using affordable tax credit housing. So that's why I'm going to go ahead and teach you guys that as well, so you can know. So these guidelines are provided by the IRS. It's really their decision, and it's based on the county income median. So each county has separate guidelines for what they would need to meet to qualify for this tax credit. So for one person, the minimum income would be up to $30,000. And if they go above that, they would not qualify for the tax credit. Two people have different requirements, so let's say like it's a husband and a wife or siblings. Could also be friends, boyfriends or girlfriends, whatever it is. Two people would have to be under $35,160. So just to clarify, does it mean that one person just makes that much amount of money, or total combined for the two people would have to make that amount? This is before tax as well for their income, so it's not after tax. So a lot of times people will complain about that, but I mean really it's up to the IRS. I don't have control over that decision. It comes straight from the IRS. And a lot of people will complain and say that they don't have enough money to pay rent, but I just let them know, I mean, maybe you can, write a complaint to the IRS. I understand it's tough. So there are different requirements depending on the amount of people who work there. So the same thing, for 4 people who live there, it's going to be $43,920. This is kind of just a different rent range that people could qualify for. So for 1 bedroom, they would need to fall within the guidelines of $633 to $771. It has to fall within there, and that's based on the IRS's requirements. So understand you can't go above $771. And then for 2 bedrooms, kind of the same thing. You can't charge above $926. So the company will get fined if they see us charging more than these guidelines. Do you guys have any questions about this? The range is because some rooms have different things included in the room. So why would 1 bedroom be higher? Why is there a range in the rent? Tower all their units are the same, but it really depends on the size of the unit. So there are 6 different layouts at Water Tower View. So one of them is about 560 square feet. They kind of just vary in size of the units, and that's why the rent deviates. I don't think I put this down, but it's really a range of their income. So it's usually about 50 to 60% of their income. So that $30,000, that rent then would be based on 50 to 60% of their income. So let's say if we're looking at the one person income maximum would be $30,000. I might have another chart that will explain this a little bit better. So there's 2 columns, so if you guys can imagine that. There's a range between 50 to 60% between the columns. So 50% of this income, let's say it's $25,000. The rent would be $633. But then, if we look at the 60%, if it's over $25,000, then they would need to charge the higher rent of $771. So there's that base range. Does that kind of make sense? Clicking for you guys? Do you guys have any more questions about the affordable tax credit housing? Now we're going to move on to talk about the design features that are included at Water Tower View. So you guys have probably seen that when you go to a normal apartment, there's like an intercom system when you buzz people in. But in the past, we would just have to kind of cover up the speaker. But now we've been able to establish a 2-way video communication system within the vestibule, and that really provides better access for the residents. And we also have video and smoke alarm devices in each unit. Stoughton? Okay. Okay, if you guys know where Madison is, Stoughton is the name of the town just south of there. So this is just a story about a man who moved from California to Stoughton. And he just lived in an apartment there. So about 3 months ago, I went to Madison for a coffee chat, and I heard about his experience. You know, many people do not have these accessible devices with lights flashing, something like that. Most of the technology is based on the hearing culture. So the deaf man was at home, and he ended up looking out the window, and he noticed there were a lot of fire trucks outside, a lot of policemen, there was flashing lights everywhere. He had no idea what was going on. And then finally he opened his door and he looked out into the hallway. Nothing was going on in the hallway. No one was you know, there was no chaos, no one was running back and forth, so he just decided to put on his jacket, go outside, see what was going on. Standing outside the front door, there were so many people, and, you know, to his surprise, there was actually a fire in his apartment building in the basement. And he wouldn't have never known that. I was so shocked. I was like, what? He didn't have that access, so he needed to file a complaint. He needed to talk to the property manager to get those accessible smoke alarms. It's against the law not to have those. Imagine how left out a deaf person would be and how their safety would be compromised. So he did take action, and now he does have proper accommodations. I always tell people, don't be afraid. Go ahead and, you know, advocate for yourself.
Switch.